All right, so today we're going to deep dive into what it takes to become a cigarette making machine operator.
Yeah, a fascinating job, and a lot of people don't even know it exists.
Right, so we've got our RoleCatcher Career Guide and their interview questions repository.
Some great resources to help us unpack this.
Absolutely, and I think this is going to be really helpful for anyone out there who's interested in pursuing this career path.
For sure.
So first off, when we talk about cigarette making machine operator, we're talking about someone who is working with these really complex machines.
Yeah, they're not simple.
No, not at all. Um, they're responsible for turning tobacco and paper into cigarettes, and that involves a whole bunch of different steps.
It does the whole process, and it requires a lot of precision,
Yes, definitely precision efficiency.
quality control.
It's a very detail-oriented job.
It is. And the Role Catcher Guide actually points out some interesting trends.
Oh yeah? Like what?
Well, for one, the demand for skilled operators is actually pretty steady.
Okay, that's good to know.
It is, but at the same time, the industry is facing increasing regulation.
Oh, right, because of the health concerns.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
It's something to consider.
Yeah, and on that note, what about automation? That seems to be a big thing in just about every industry these days.
Yeah, it's definitely a factor in cigarette manufacturing, too.
Really?
Yeah, the guide even mentions the increasing use of robotics in some facilities.
Wow, so that's something to keep in mind when you're thinking about long-term career prospects.
Absolutely, it changes things up.
Okay, well, let's get back to the interview itself for a moment, because RoleCatcher actually provides 10 sample questions.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and I think it would be helpful to kind of go through them and, think about how you might answer them if you were in that interview hot seat.
Sounds good.
All right, so the first one is, what inspired you to become a cigarette-making machine operator?
So that's an interesting one, right? It might seem simple,
Yeah.
but you don't want to just give a generic answer like, I like working with machines.
Right, you want to show that you've actually thought about this.
Exactly, you need to go a little deeper.
So, like, what would be a better approach?
Well, think about what genuinely draws you to this specific role.
Great.
Maybe you're really fascinated by the manufacturing process itself, the whole idea of taking raw materials and transforming them into a finished product.
Oh, yeah. Or maybe you have a knack for detail-oriented work, and this role really plays to that strength.
Precisely. Or maybe you enjoy working with your hands. You like being hands-on.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's about finding that personal connection and then articulating it in a way that resonates with the interviewer.
So if someone was really into the technical side of things, they could talk about their interest in how the machines work or their desire to learn more about the mechanics.
Exactly. And you can even use RoleCatcher's AI to help you with this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it can actually analyze the job description and identify keywords that align with your skills and interests.
Wow. So it's like having a little secret weapon in your back pocket.
Kind of, yeah. It can give you that extra edge.
That's pretty cool. Okay, well, let's move on to the next question then. What experience do you have operating cigarette-making machines?
Right, so this one's pretty straightforward.
If you have direct experience, this is your time to shine.
Exactly. Highlight those machines you've worked with, the specific tasks you performed, any achievements you're proud of.
But what if you don't have direct experience with those specific machines? What if you're kind of new to this field?
That's okay. You can still showcase transferable skills.
Okay, good.
So maybe you've operated other types of machinery in the past, or you've worked in a production environment where you had to follow strict procedures and meet deadlines.
Or you have a really strong understanding of quality control procedures from a previous job.
Exactly. It's all about showing how your previous experience, even if it's not directly related, can be relevant to the requirements of this particular role.
So it's about drawing those connections.
Yes, and the career guide can actually help you with that.
Oh, how so?
Well, it outlines the typical responsibilities of a cigarette-making machine operator. The core skills needed, and even provides example career profiles for different experience levels.
Oh, wow. So you can kind of see where you fit in.
Exactly. You can use that information to tailor your answers and make sure you're highlighting the most relevant aspects of your background.
That's really helpful. Okay, so question number 3 is, how do you ensure the quality of the cigarettes produced by the machine?
Quality control. Huge.
Right. And this is where you really get to show that you understand what it means to be a cigarette-making machine operator.
Yeah, the interviewer wants to see that you're meticulous, detail-oriented, and you're really committed to producing a consistent product.
So what kind of things should you touch on in your answer?
Talk about your approach to monitoring the machine, performing those quality checks, and identifying any deviations from the norm.
So, like, if there's a problem, you need to be able to spot it right away.
Exactly, and then you need to know what to do about it.
Right. You have to take action.
And you can even mention specific tools or techniques you've used in the past for quality control.
Like measuring instruments or statistical process control charts.
Exactly. Anything that shows you have a deep understanding of quality control principles.
And it's probably a good idea to familiarize yourself with any industry-specific regulations related to quality control.
Absolutely. The interviewer might even throw in a follow-up question like, can you describe a time when you had to address a quality control issue? What steps did you take?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, so you have
the-
to be ready to give a specific example that shows you can actually handle these situations in real life.
Exactly. It's not just about theory. It's about being able to apply that knowledge in a practical setting.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's move on to a really crucial topic now, safety.
Huge, yeah.
The next question is, how do you ensure the safety of yourself and others while operating the cigarette-making machine?
Safety is paramount in any industrial environment.
Absolutely, and it's not just about protecting yourself, but also about being a responsible team member and creating a safe work environment for everyone.
Exactly. And when you're answering this question, you really want to highlight your knowledge of those operating procedures, your awareness of potential hazards, and your proactive approach to mitigating risks.
Yeah, so you could mention specific safety protocols you followed in previous roles, like wearing protective gear,
Right. Safety glasses, gloves, earplugs.
performing regular equipment inspections, or reporting any safety concerns immediately.
Exactly. Anything that shows you take safety seriously.
And you know what? This is another area where RoleCatcher's AI can be really helpful.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, it can actually analyze your CV for gaps in safety-related skills.
Huh.
Yeah, and then it can suggest improvements so you can really highlight your safety consciousness to potential employers.
Oh, wow. That's a really useful feature.
It is. It takes some of the guesswork out of it.
Yeah, it makes you look good.
All right, so let's shift gears a little bit now and talk about troubleshooting, because that's a big part of this job too.
It is. Things can go wrong.
Right, and the interviewer might ask something like, how do you troubleshoot issues with the cigarette-making machine?
Right. So this is where you get to showcase your analytical thinking skills and your ability to solve problems methodically.
Yeah, walk the interviewer through your typical troubleshooting process.
Exactly. Like, how do you approach a problem?
So you could start by describing how you would identify the symptoms of the issue, then explain how you would isolate the cause, and then finally outline the steps you would take to implement a solution.
Precisely. And if you have experience with specific troubleshooting techniques, like using diagnostic tools or consulting manuals, be sure to mention those.
It's all about showing that you have a system.
Yes, a logical approach.
And it's also a good opportunity to share a story about a time when you successfully resolved a challenging technical problem.
Oh, yeah. Stories are powerful. They bring your skills to life.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about machine maintenance now, because that's another critical aspect of this job.
It is. Those machines need to be taken care of.
Right, and the next question kind of gets at that. It's how do you ensure the machine is properly maintained?
So this one's all about being proactive and demonstrating your understanding of preventative maintenance.
Yeah, you don't want to wait for things to break down.
Exactly. You want to prevent those breakdowns from happening in the first place.
Right, so talk about your experience with those routine tasks like cleaning lubrication inspections,
Right. Those are all key.
and highlight your ability to follow those maintenance schedules, to document your work, and to communicate effectively with the maintenance team.
Communication is so important.
You're not working in isolation.
No, you're part of a team.
And, the career guide actually has a section on core skills, which includes things like adhering to organizational guidelines and performing cleaning duties.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, so those are good points to touch on in your answer, because it shows that you understand what's expected of you.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's move on to a question that addresses both productivity and quality. How do you maintain productivity while ensuring quality control?
Oh, this is a classic.
It is a classic interview question.
And it's all about finding that sweet spot between efficiency and accuracy.
Right, you don't want to sacrifice one for the other.
No, you need both.
So you need to emphasize your ability to work quickly and efficiently without compromising quality.
So talk about your time management skills, your ability to multitask, and your focus on meeting those production targets.
Exactly, but also make it clear that you're not cutting corners.
Right. You're still committed to double-checking your work and making sure every cigarette meets those required standards.
Exactly. A potential follow-up question here could be, can you describe a time when you had to balance meeting a tight deadline with maintaining high-quality standards?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. You got to be ready for that.
Be prepared with a specific example that demonstrates your ability to handle pressure and to prioritize effectively.
Okay, good advice. So let's move on to question number 8. How do you ensure compliance with regulatory requirements?
Regulation's always fun.
Right, but important.
Absolutely. This question is all about demonstrating your awareness of those industry regulations and your commitment to following them meticulously.
So highlight your knowledge of the relevant laws and guidelines, your ability to interpret them correctly, and your dedication to maintaining accurate records.
Exactly. You need to show that you're on top of things.
And you can actually do some research beforehand to find out about any specific regulations related to cigarette manufacturing in your area.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, showing that you've taken the initiative to learn about the industry is always a plus.
It is. It shows you're serious.
And your RoleCatcher actually provides links to external resources that can help you find that information.
Oh, wow. So they've got you covered.
Yeah, they make it easy for you. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Now, it's another one about safety. How do you ensure a safe work environment for yourself and others?
Okay, so this sounds kind of similar to that earlier question about safety while operating the machine.
It is similar, but there's a subtle difference.
Oh, okay. What is it?
Well, this one is more about your overall approach to workplace safety and your ability to foster a culture of awareness.
Ah, I see. So it's not just about following the rules yourself. It's about encouraging others to do the same.
Exactly. So you could talk about your ability to identify potential hazards, to follow safety protocols, and to, kind of be a role model for others.
Right. Lead by example.
Exactly. And you can mention any experience you have with conducting safety inspections, reporting near misses, or participating in safety training programs.
Yeah. Anything that shows you're proactive about safety.
It's all about creating that culture of safety.
Absolutely. Okay. And now for the final question in this set. How do you stay up to date on the latest industry-related technologies and equipment?
Keeping up with the times.
It's essential in any field, but especially in one where technology is constantly evolving.
Right. So this is your chance to demonstrate your commitment to professional development and your willingness to adapt to a changing industry.
Yeah. You need to show that you're not just content with what you know now, but that you're eager to learn and grow.
So talk about your strategies for staying informed, like attending industry conferences, reading trade publications, or taking online courses.
Exactly. Those are all great ways to stay ahead of the curve.
And be sure to mention any recent training or certifications you've obtained.
Yeah, highlight those accomplishments.
For example, if you're interested in automation, you could mention that you've been reading up on the latest advancements in robotics, or maybe you're taking online courses in PLC programming.
Right. Anything that shows you're proactive and eager to learn new things.
Those are the kind of candidates employers are looking for.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about those key responsibilities of a cigarette-making machine operator.
The importance of safety and quality control.
We've even broken down those 10 sample interview questions.
And we've woven in some valuable insights from RoleCatcher's career guide along the way.
It's been a good deep dive so far.
It has, but there's still more to unpack. When we come back, we'll dive deeper into how you can leverage RoleCatcher's AI to really tailor your answers and get that extra edge in your interview prep.
Can't wait.
Okay, so we're back, and we've been talking all about becoming a cigarette-making machine operator.
Really interesting stuff.
Yeah, and one of the things that we touched on earlier was RoleCatcher's AI.
Right, the AI is really something else.
It is, and I'm kind of curious how it can actually help you prepare for an interview.
Well, it's all about tailoring your answers.
Yeah.
Presenting yourself as the ideal candidate.
So it's kind of like having a secret weapon.
In a way, yeah, it can give you that extra edge.
Okay, so how does it work?
Well, the AI can actually analyze those job descriptions and pinpoint the specific skills and experience that the employer is looking for.
Oh, wow. So it's like it's reading the employer's mind.
Kind of, yeah. It's
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
So you're saying it helps you highlight the most relevant parts of your background.
Exactly. It's like having a personalized cheat sheet for each interview.
Oh, I like that. Okay, so give me an example. How would this work in practice?
Okay, so let's say you're applying for a position that really emphasizes troubleshooting skills.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's AI can analyze that job description and identify keywords like problem solving, analytical thinking, and diagnostic tools.
Well, so it's picking up on those key terms.
Exactly. And then you can use those keywords to craft your answers, make sure you're showcasing those specific skills that the employer is looking for.
Wow. So it's like it's doing the hard work for you.
It's taking the guesswork out of it, for sure.
That's amazing. And you said you can even use the AI to practice your answers.
You can, yeah, and get feedback on your delivery.
So it's like having a virtual mock interview.
Exactly. It's like having a coach in your pocket.
That's incredible. And I think that would be really helpful for a lot of people because interviews can be nerve-wracking.
They can be, yeah,
Mm.
but this kind of takes some of the pressure off.
Yeah, because you know you're going in prepared.
Exactly. And here's another bonus. RoleCatcher can actually score your application against the job criteria.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you can see where you stand, what your strengths and weaknesses are.
Oh, wow, that's so helpful.
It gives you those insights that you need to make those strategic adjustments to your CV, to your cover letter, even to your interview responses.
It's all about maximizing your chances of getting shortlisted.
Exactly, and ultimately landing that job.
Okay, I'm convinced RoleCatcher's AI sounds like a game changer for anyone prepping for a cigarette-making machine operator interview.
It is, but, AI can't do everything.
Right.
It's still important to showcase your genuine enthusiasm for the role.
Oh, absolutely. You have to show that you're passionate about the work.
Exactly. Interviewers are looking for someone who's excited about this job, not just someone who can, recite the right answers.
They want to see that spark.
Exactly. So how do you convey that passion in an interview setting?
Well, I think it's all about your energy,
Yeah.
your body language, the way you talk about your work.
Yeah,
Let that enthusiasm shine through.
right. Smile, make eye contact, speak with conviction, and don't be afraid to show your personality.
Yeah, let them see who you really are.
Exactly. Okay, so let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the work environment itself.
Okay.
What can you expect as a cigarette-making machine operator?
It's probably safe to say that it's not your typical office job.
No, not at all. It's a fast-paced industrial setting.
Okay.
Think loud noises, the hum of machinery, and potentially even some strong odors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the career guide even mentions that facilities can be dusty, so be prepared to wear protective gear like earplugs and masks.
So it sounds like you need to be comfortable working in a hands-on environment.
Absolutely, and be prepared for those physical demands of the role.
Yeah, you got to be able to handle it.
It can be a challenging job, but,
It can.
for those who enjoy working with their hands, who are fascinated by machines, and who thrive in a dynamic setting, it can be incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, there's something about that hands-on work that's really satisfying.
It is, and remember, the career guide outlines those different career stages, so there's potential for growth and advancement within the industry.
So you can start as an operator and work your way up.
Exactly, you can climb that ladder.
That's good to know. Okay, so we've talked about the work environment, but what about the people you know, the human element?
Oh, that's important too.
Cigarette manufacturing is a team effort, right?
It is. You'll be interacting with a variety of people, other operators, supervisors, quality control inspectors.
So you have to be a team player.
You do. You have to be able to communicate effectively and build positive relationships with your colleagues.
So those soft skills are just as important as the technical skills.
They are. And don't be afraid to highlight those soft skills in your interview.
Right. Talk about your teamwork, your communication, your problem-solving abilities.
Exactly. Those are all essential qualities for success in this role.
Okay, so we've talked about the work environment, the importance of soft skills, and how RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your answers and get that extra edge. What else should we cover before we wrap things up?
Well, let's take a closer look at those industry trends that we discussed earlier. Automation and the rise of robotics.
Right, those are big ones.
They are. And I'm curious, how do you think the increasing use of automation is affecting the day-to-day work of a cigarette-making machine operator?
Well, I mentioned that operators are going to need to become more tech-savvy.
I think so.
Understanding not just how to operate the machines themselves, but also how to interact with those robotic systems and how to interpret data.
Exactly. It's a whole new skill set.
So it's not just about manual dexterity anymore.
No, it's about having a deeper understanding of technology and how it's being integrated into the manufacturing process.
Right. And this ties back to the importance of continuous learning.
Absolutely. The industry is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
So those operators who are adaptable, who are willing to embrace those new technologies, and who are constantly seeking to expand their skills, those are the ones who are going to be in high demand.
So it's about staying ahead of the curve.
Exactly. And remember, RoleCatcher provides resources for continuous learning and career development. You can use their platform to explore related career paths, identify skills gaps, and find those training programs that'll help you stay ahead of the game.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this section, from the role of AI in interview prep to the impact of automation on the industry.
It's been a good discussion.
It has, but we're not done yet. There's one more crucial aspect of this cigarette-making machine operator role that we need to discuss, and that's the ethical consideration.
Right, that's a big one.
It is the tobacco industry has faced a lot of criticism for the health risks associated with smoking, and, anyone considering a career in this field needs to be aware of those concerns.
Absolutely. It's important to be informed, to form your own opinions, and to be prepared to address these issues in an interview setting.
So how should someone approach those tough questions about the ethical implications of working in the tobacco industry?
Well, it's about being honest, thoughtful, and respectful. You could discuss your personal views on the matter, highlight your understanding of those health risks, and emphasize your commitment to following those safety protocols and regulations.
Right. And you could also talk about the economic impact of the tobacco industry, the jobs it provides and the role that it plays in certain communities.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging those complexities of the issue and presenting a balanced perspective.
So there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer here.
No, it's more about demonstrating your awareness of those ethical considerations and your ability to engage in a thoughtful discussion.
Yeah, being able to articulate your thoughts clearly and respectfully.
Exactly. And I think it's a good reminder that every job comes with its own set of ethical implications, regardless of the industry.
That's a really good point. Okay, so before we wrap up this section, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier, the importance of staying ahead of the curve in a rapidly evolving industry.
Right, continuous learning.
Exactly. So the future of this cigarette-making machine operator role is likely to be shaped by advancements in automation, robotics, and artificial intelligence.
It's going to keep changing.
It is so. What can someone do to stay relevant in this changing landscape?
Well, it's about being proactive, seeking out those opportunities for growth.
Like taking online courses, attending industry conferences, or even exploring related career paths that might leverage their existing skills.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher can be a valuable resource for all of that. They have career guides for a wide range of professions, and their AI can help you identify those skills gaps and suggest those personalized learning paths.
So it's like having a roadmap for your career.
Exactly. It can guide you along the way.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this section, from the ethical considerations to the importance of continuous learning in a changing industry. What's next on our deep dive agenda?
Well, we've talked a lot about the big picture, the industry, the trends, the ethical considerations. But now it's time to zoom in and focus on some practical tips for acing that interview.
All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What are your top tips for making a great impression and landing that cigarette-making machine operator job?
So we've talked about a lot, the industry trends, the job itself, the skills you need.
The ethical considerations.
Yeah, it's been a really in-depth look.
It has. And now it's time to put it all together, give you some actionable advice so you can ace that interview.
All right, so what are your top tips for making a great first impression and landing that cigarette-making machine operator job?
Well, first things first, you got to be prepared.
Yeah, preparation is key.
It's amazing how many people walk into interviews unprepared.
Mm.
They haven't done their research. They don't really know anything about the company.
Right, so what does good preparation look like for this particular role?
Well, research the company, understand their products, their values.
Yeah, that shows you're genuinely interested. It does. It shows you've taken the time.
Right. And of course, review those sample interview questions that we discussed earlier.
Yeah, practice your answers out loud. Maybe even do a mock interview with a friend or family member.
Practice makes perfect, right?
Absolutely. Now let's talk about presentation.
Okay, because first impressions matter.
They do, even in an industrial setting.
So what's the dress code for a cigarette-making machine operator interview?
Well, you don't need to wear a suit and tie.
Okay.
But you still want to dress professionally clean, neat, presentable.
So like a nice button-down shirt or blouse with some slacks or a skirt.
Exactly. And pay attention to the details, polished shoes, neatly groomed hair, minimal accessories.
Yeah, those little things can make a big difference.
They can. Now let's talk about communication.
Okay.
During the interview, be clear, concise, and confident in your answers.
And don't be afraid to let your personality shine through.
Absolutely. A genuine smile, positive energy can go a long way.
And remember, it's a two-way street.
It is.
Ask thoughtful questions about the company, the role of the team.
Yeah, show that you're engaged, curious, eager to learn.
And one final tip, don't forget to follow up after the interview.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, a simple thank you note or email reiterating your interest can leave a lasting impression.
It can set you apart from other candidates.
Okay, those are some great practical tips.
Mm.
I think our listeners are feeling much more confident about tackling those interviews.
I hope so. Remember, preparation and a positive attitude are your secret weapon.
And don't forget to leverage the power of RoleCatcher's AI to tailor your answers and get that extra edge.
It's a game changer.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the world of cigarette-making machine operators.
We covered a lot of ground.
We did. We explored everything from the technical skills to the industry trends, the ethical considerations, and even some practical tips for acing that interview.
It's been a really comprehensive look.
It has, and I hope our listeners feel empowered and ready to embark on this exciting career path.
It is an interesting career.
It is. And remember, with hard work preparation and a little help from RoleCatcher, you can achieve your career goals and find fulfillment in your work.
Absolutely. Best of luck, everyone.
And stay tuned for more deep dives into fascinating careers.